Morning. Where's Tom Davis? Call the meeting to order and we'll get started. Have Shelley Kiss come up for the pledge and inspiration.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Morning, everyone. So today's inspiration comes from a quote from Theodore Roosevelt, who said, "Each time we face our fear, we gain strength, courage, and confidence in the doing." But this quote got me thinking, where does the fear come from in the first place? So yesterday at work, we were having a discussion about recognizing teams that have been making outstanding strides in achieving sustainability and financial outcomes. And somewhere in there, we were realizing that there was always stories to be had about how one team had come up with a creative solution to always make it all work. But there was this perception that if we kept highlighting these stories, it would be really inspiring to the rest of the team. So, there's always this constant need to try and find more stories. But then the conversation took a turn when someone said, what about the failures? What about the big, hairy problems, the things that teams try, and then they don't work out? Why aren't we highlighting those? So that at that moment, that's when I looked over at my desk. And my physical reminder, which is this little guy, so I brought a prop today. And it reminds me of the importance of taking chances and being willing to make really big mistakes. Inventors know this instinctively, trial after trial to achieve what they're after. But even for inventors, some discoveries don't actually come at the end of many failed attempts, but actually in the failures themselves. So when I looked online, there are lists out there like Post-it notes, penicillin, bubble wrap, the Slinky, Silly Putty, and even the pacemakers that are all listed as accidents, failures, but hailed successes that were born from the failure and trying to actually create something else. So why do so many of us fear failure then? Perhaps we had overly critical parents when we were younger and we can blame them. Or alternatively, and this might be criticism of some of us in this group, we actually were sheltered too much from failure, and now it's challenging to deal with failure as an adult. Perhaps it's because of our hyper-connected world of social media. We're afraid of failures will be publicized instantly, resulting in some sort of a negative outcome. And while many of us focus on how this fear of failure might be bad for the American entrepreneurial spirit, you see that out there a lot. Personally, I've been thinking a little bit more about the effect it can have on building happy lives. Fear of failure can steer us away from life's joyful, fulfilling adventures by discouraging us from taking new risks and trying new things. So what's the answer? Certainly it's not to have any fear. True fearlessness is abnormal and even dangerous, unless of course you're a 15-year-old boy who lives in my house, and Danger is his middle name, and he just likes to keep my heart on edge all the time. But rather, I think it comes from that quote that I started with. The answer lies somewhere in courage. Courage that can be drawn upon even in moments of failure, or even in moments of fear, to help provide balance and the resolve to keep going, despite the potential for failure. Remember, perfectionism can make you miserable. So the next time you're faced with an opportunity, muster up the courage to mess up, to make a really big mistake. You might just be surprised by what you discover. And that is only us. In all the things you think, say, and do. Very concerns. That are infectious will be beneficial for all concerned. Thank you.
So Shelley, on my first day, I should not fear failure. Take a moment of encouragement. Thank you very much. Paul, do we have some guests today?
Morning, everybody. A couple of guests here, Dan Highland, Got the war outfit in the front here. And Jessica Malooly. Over there, she's here with Josh and Kathy.
The announcements, Scott and Maggie, do you want to come up with some updates on the concert for tonight?
Hey, good morning, everybody. Scott Gerlicher. So yeah, tonight's gonna be a big one. In spite of the clouds you see now, all the forecasts are looking for clearing skies, partly cloudy. It really doesn't matter. Gear Daddy's fans would come in the rain. They have a massive following, so you can expect an extremely large crowd in downtown Excelsior today. Thanks for all of your help. Maggie's gonna give you an update on the volunteers, but I think we're looking really solid. Some of us are gonna be going over there to the Commons right after Rotary to start doing a little bit setup. Majority of the setup hour is gonna take place a little earlier, about 2:30 this afternoon. So if you're on that setup crew, we appreciate that. We have a lot of moving parts to this. But we're looking for a very good event. A couple of things to note is take this in a moment, but we had a generator being delivered, so I'm gonna have to take off right after this. But anyways, parking, we do have our volunteer parking at 106 Center Street. If you park in there, make sure you park close to each other because that's gonna be pretty full. There is the shuttle bus that we have from Excelsior Elementary. Actually, the pickup will be at the library. Also, we do have a bike valet, a bike corral on site. If you are, as a volunteer, bringing your bike down, we ask you to keep your bike in that bike valet. We cannot accommodate personal bikes in our space. It just clogs things up. With that, I think I'm gonna turn it over to Maggie. But thank you. We're looking forward to a great event.
No, we gotta give Scott and Carrie so much credit. They have just blown this thing up and have done so much work. So thanks so much. But I'm blown away by all of you. We asked for more volunteers. We doubled it up for tonight and the sign up went out and within 10 minutes, every slot was filled. So thank you so much for all that you guys do. Just a couple things for ID checkers. Make sure you check the back of the driver's license so that there's no alcohol restrictions. If you run into an issue, look for a lead to Scott and Carrie are your best, but they're running around to deal with someone that doesn't have an ID that's argumentative or whatever. So just kind of a reminder. Make sure you stamp the right hand and stamp it really clearly. And then if you're selling tickets, make sure that the hand is stamped. So what we've run into a bit is they come up to the bar and they've got the tickets, but not a hand stamp. So then they got to go all the way back to ID checks and then they're irritated with us. What else here? Our cup support. It's anybody that is looking for something to do, go to Laura. She's ahead of that. And they can always use people to help collect our cups, especially at the end of the concert. Right, Laura? Like 8:30 to be at the exits and just collect them. And of course, I don't know, Mike Cooper is the king of our cups, as we know. So he's awesome at it. And it's a great way to socialize, to get out and thank people for coming and see how they found out about us. And if they want to be just all that he's here, just to join Rotary. And then so the bar, do not hold the glasses like this. It's my pet peeve only, everybody says. But when you're handing it, like when you're beer pouring or handing out a glass, try to do it like this if you can. I don't know if it bugs other people, but it bugs me. Or yeah, you can go like this. Yeah, that's kind of, yeah. And then reminder to, if you're handing out a beer or wine, reminder about the R cups. And people go, I know, but I think this is going to be a different, newer crowd. So every time just say, hey, make sure that we're recycling or not recycling, reusing the R cups and put them in the right bin. If you want to socialize when you're back there, if you can just step aside, we all know people and it's always fun to see people, but just step to the side and let the bar keep going. That's where we get jammed up. I think that's about it. We need a sign manager. Mike is kind of, are you our sign manager? No. Okay. He's an archive guy, but he's also great at putting out signs. So We still need someone to kind of just take over the signs and get them up and make sure that they're down. We need one more ID checker at, the second shift. Other than that, we're really doing well. But if you're a floater or just an extra volunteer looking for something to do, we always need people to direct lines. So if you're just walking by and you see Cindy's the queen of that, directing people and just telling them, hey, you go to the side and go over there, there's no line over there. So, and again, just telling people, and then always say thank you for supporting Excelsior Morning Rotary, no matter what position you're in. Just make sure that, a lot of people, when we say that, they're like, oh, this is a Rotary Club that's doing this, they have no idea. So just make sure you say thank you for supporting Excelsior Morning Rotary, but thank you to all of you, you guys rock.
Well, thank you to Scott and all the team on this. I mean, I think this concert's just gonna blow the doors off Excelsior tonight. It's gonna be really big and just really appreciate all of the volunteers for tonight and stepping up and supporting this this great event. Are there any other announcements this morning? Yes. Great.
Just want to say that Greg Elliott, I just started with about 75 flags last week. This is the last one. So if anybody has got a flag, they don't have to carry them around anymore. Come see me after.
Chip Cheney. If you haven't had enough music after Wednesday, make sure you come down to the Excelsior Brewery on Friday because my band is playing at the brewery. So see the basement case, we'll have a special guest and then we will probably play about 8:30.
Oh, on Friday night.
Friday.
All right.
I'm Catherine Johnson, and I'm just shamelessly promoting here. Wanted to thank you all for supporting my son Ruben Savory Cones at the concerts. He has been having the time of his life and he's been selling out. So check him out and thank you all so much for supporting him. He's a young entrepreneur. Thank you.
Nice guy.
My wife and I actually had dinner with another couple at Leyline last night. If you haven't been to the newest restaurant in Excelsior, it was just phenomenal. I highly recommend it. It's a nice addition. I'm gonna also, I want to stay on the good side of the pig here. And so I'm gonna feed the pig on my first day, official day here, there. I want to just say it's truly an honor and a privilege to serve as the president. Thank you for your support and confidence in me, and I really look forward to working with all of you as we continue to build on the success and the momentum that we have going in this special club. I thought what I'd do is I did a vocational. I joined the club a couple of years ago, and I did a vocational, and I thought I'd do an abbreviated vocational. So a little refresher about who I am, where I came from, and then also for maybe some of the new members that aren't as familiar with me. So my production manager here, AP, is going to help me with this, but here's a little Marky. I grew up and was raised in a small town, Osceola, Iowa. It's in southern Iowa. And it was kind of like Andy Griffith, Mayberry, RFD type town. I mean, it was, you could ride your Stingray bicycle all the way across town out to the municipal pool, the tennis court, stop at Shad's drugstore for a cherry Coke on the way home and everything. So it was truly, I guess, John Mellencamp's small town. That kind of is what I'm like, is from small town. And my family here, Dean and Maureen, my parents, and I had 3 siblings, Marcia, Mike, and Marlon. And I would never name all your kids with the same first initial. Because half the time I was either Mike or Marlon, not Mark. So with that, but my family, we had a motel, and it was a little motel, and it had a house next to it, about, I don't know, 1,300 square feet. And so we ran this motel, and we also owned the farm outside of town. So we had Black Angus cattle, corn, soybeans, and that sort of thing. So I had kind of the benefit of two types of life, city life and country life with it. Now, this motel, we were very proud of it. On the sign there, it says wall-to-wall carpeting, air conditioning, and free TV. So that was a big deal back then with that. But I did learn a lot about serving. My dad was very involved in the chamber, in the Lions Club and so forth. And so I learned a lot about participation in organizations at a young age. Other part of my life is we spent a lot of time in Lake of the Ozarks. So vacation there. I worked down there a couple of summers at a marina. I skied in a water ski show at night, did some barefooting, that sort of thing. So I tell people that my life is kind of like the Netflix series. It's Schitt's Creek and Ozarks. Those are my buckets. Yeah. I went to Iowa State and had I was there for a couple of years. Really had fond memories of attending Iowa State, in the SAE house and so forth. And unfortunately, they didn't have an accredited business school. So I knew some friends in the Twin Cities, and I transferred to the University of Minnesota, where I graduated in 1977. When I got out of college, I worked for Dayton Hudson initially. And then I went into banking, and I worked for Norwest Banks for about 7 years. Most of my career, though, was at TCF. I was with TCF for about 33 years. Most of that I was president and chief operating officer. Spent some time with the family in Ann Arbor, Michigan, but most of the time was running the bank here in Minnesota. This is my wife, Lori, of 33 years of marriage. Lori is from Minnetonka. She went to Minnetonka High School, and we have, like I said, been married for 33 years, and it's been just wonderful. Here's my family. We have 3 kids, Wyatt, Maggie, and Anna, our adult children, and Anna lives with us. She has some special medical needs. So we provide caregiving to her as an adult child, and then Wyatt and Maggie live in St. Louis Park. A little bit about my, beyond just work and keeping the analysts happy and in corporate life. A lot of my passions were built around TCF Foundation, which covered multi-states, and I was chair of that. We've specialized in housing, education, military, and food services around that. I was a March of Dimes campaign director. I was on the Minneapolis Downtown Council. I've served on the University of Minnesota Athletic Board. I was a point person on the creation of the TCF Bank Stadium, and participated as a Carlson School of Management board member, and the Retreat Board, which is a drug rehab center in Lysette. I was on the board of that. And then in terms of current passions, I'm doing some strategy leadership work with 360 Financial, which is a boutique wealth management firm in Lysette. Spend maybe 20% of my time on that. I'm on the alumni athletic board. I'm involved with Dinkytown Athletes, which is the name, image, and likeness for athletes. Involved with Dunkers, served with Kathleen Mallory on the Lafayette Board of Directors. And here I am with Lake Minnetonka, Excelsior Rotary, and then passion is family, faith, friends, and fun. So we sum it up. So where will you find Mark Jager? You'll find me on the slopes. I love to downhill ski, on the golf course with family and friends. I'll be traveling to go for football games, not always with the Spirit Squad, but sometimes. And then we do some tailgating there, and anybody is welcome to our tailgate at home, at Minnesota home games. I like to do some traveling internationally, and then you'll find us at the beach, primarily in Cabo, and then out here on Lake Minnetonka. So that is my story, and I'm sticking with it. So we'll shift gears now. All right, so here's in conjunction with our board of directors, I just wanted to kind of go over maybe some overarching plans and priorities for this year, and we'll welcome your feedback. I'll download this plan in terms of the post communication, so if you have any comments or feedback, I would really appreciate that. First of all, the backdrop I'll give is on, this is Gordon McAnally, who is our new Rotary International president. He seems like a fine gentleman. You know, what I've read and what his priorities and what he's setting. He's a dentist from Quisenberry, Scotland. And his theme is create hope in the world. He's got 4 major priorities, which certainly fall within a lot of things that we're doing within our club. Mental health, peace building, community and leadership, and to continue to empower girls and women. And we have at the district level, Julie Gray, who was, and Pat knows Julie very well. She is from the Minneapolis club. What's the formal name? City of Lakes. And she met with her, and she's going to be here in middle of August. She's our district governor. Her theme is really create hope through connecting and collaboration. Priorities fall within kind of seasonally environment, literacy, education, food insecurity, housing, and homelessness. So in terms of us, wanted to the board of directors, we have a few new directors. We have as past president, Pam. We have Brian Larson is our president-elect. Colleen Aldred is treasurer, and Mitch Day, secretary, Scott Gerlicher, events, and then Matt Kuslik in terms of our marketing communications, youth services, Carrie, gaming is Larry Lindbrick, Lisa Wagner in membership, international, Meg Lowe, at large positions, Shelley Kiss, DEI, we have Elizabeth Nickel, and Kathleen Mallory. And then in terms of local, Dan Narr, and then Maggie Trenery in terms of administration. I would like you to give them all a round of applause. So, like it's building on success and momentum, we're so successful, we got so much great momentum going in our club. And I kind of look at continuing to enhance, our organization through leadership, organizational excellence, member experience in terms of what can Rotary do for you? And Rotary can bring out a lot of your passions and so forth. And it's important, in terms of, as we onboard new members, that they look at just the value of what the Rotary can do for you as a person, but also what you can do in terms of the community. Service, we are a membership and service organization, and then community impact, continuing to enrich local and global communities. Membership engagement, I got asked this question about optimizing the 100+ level. Didn't really put in here a growth number in terms of new members, but what I mean by optimize is that attrition is inevitable. You will have attrition. Hopefully it's minimal in what we have, but there will be some of that. The key is to make our core members energized, and we continue to grow with that. But also, as we onboard new members, that they have a good view of what Rotary can do for them and how they can participate in Rotary and how we bring them on. So one of the goals we have is to ensure 90% of our 2-year new member retention rate, and then also achieve 85% of new member rating in terms of their experience with it. And then to continue to have a quality meeting experience. Community impact, the financial for the year, based on our run rate and what we project, we do expect to match or exceed our giving level of $350,000. We'd like to be able to conduct 10 community events, achieve 15 service projects, continue to maximize our international funding and visibility. Worth talking to Larry, look at the possibility of selecting a third pole tap site, in addition to Maynard's and the Narrows, and then grow the foundation. In order for us, it's important for us in terms of really the strength and health of communities globally and locally. We can do a lot through our foundation. And today, it's a way for us to really give into that so that we can really leverage out of our district some of the things that we're doing in terms of our international grants. So I just laid this out as a possibility. We have, if we could get 20 Paul Harris members, today I think we have 11 or 12, but if we could double that, if we could get 25 members, this is not so much about the money as it is about the level of participation. But if we could think about 25 members that give $1 a day or $365 a year. Or if we look at 25 individuals that would give $10 a month, 120. Club maybe does some things in terms of what we do with speaker donations. That would get us $40,000 from the foundation. So it's not again about hitting the number of 40,000, but it would be nice to be able to get a level of participation up. And if we did 20, 50, 70, we got 70% of our members that are participating. Organizational leadership. I think the committee leadership succession, we want to work on really looking at the committee chairs. We're going to have in a couple of weeks a chance to hear from the committee chairs, what their plans are and so forth and what their needs are. But one of the things is we need to look at how do we do succession, not only at the officer and board level, but at the committee level. talking to Carrie. Goal is going to be enlarging our high school network, community services, advanced DEI as a core tenet in everything that we do, with it under Shelley's leadership. And then Mitch, we're continuing to formalize, club governance practices and also streamlining kind of the knowledge management systems and archiving a lot of our key documents, with that. Financial highlights, and again, this is just based on projections, based on what we've experienced this year. What we look at and projecting next year is that in administration, we have $75,000 that is revenue that really drives our core operations. The objective is to break even with that. Grants and donations, those are the net proceeds out of events and poll tabs. We get local $175,000, international $40,000, youth $10,000 there. Community commitments, community for the commons, $100,000, and then 4th of July fireworks 20, and then our legacy fund, which is 75,000 today, is projected to grow to 110,000. And then finally, in all we do is having fun, carrying out our values, having fun, building camaraderie in our relationships with that. So that is it. And I would like any questions from anybody. Yes.
I just had a question about the foundation and contributing to the foundation. Can you talk a little bit about what that return on investment looks like?
Turn on the best.
Well, giving into the foundation, I think you had mentioned it supports international projects and you want to increase participation so we can get back to our district.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I don't know. Meg, do you have any thoughts? I mean, I know that's a big part of how we are able to leverage dollars through the district. How would you view that?
Well, Mark, I can help there too. I used to be in the district here in Florida.
Yeah.
So one thing about the Rotary Foundation is, I think most people know this. The
Here comes
return-
the mic.
Oh, sorry. The return on the investment for Rotary International is literally 100%, if you weren't aware of that, right? It's 3 years later, they invest the money, you get 100% back. That comes back to the district as well. And so then the district is able to also do matching around that. So you literally, depends on how you put the program or the proposal together, but you can very easily get 3 or 4 times the return on your investment for a project or for a grant that goes forward to the district. So it's a significant return. And there's a process to it. There's local grants, there's district grants, and then there's RI grants. There's some different structures and different rules for how each one of those are done, but the return is significant.
Yeah, and Tammy Schwartz, really kind of leads our foundation. You'll be hearing from her a number of times throughout the year with it. But again, I just wanted to emphasize, it's not so much about, it is kind of about the money, but it's also about just kind of getting a higher level of individual participation, whatever level it might be, whether it's Paul Harris or it's, like I said, $120 a year, $10 a month or something like that. And there's some different ways to make it easy to give to with it around there. So I hope you follow me. I am gonna be another Paul Harris year. And so I don't want to just give it lip service, but try to, provide some, we're gonna move forward with that, my wife and I. Anything else? Gotta be more questions. Tom, you have any questions?
A lot of them, but none of them that I think are appropriate.
Right? Yeah,
You had $75,000 for core operations. Can you explain what that is?
yeah, that's certainly, in terms of the dues, and so that we collect, it's $75,000 that basically, then covers, basically our expenses here, with the meals. We have, some bank fees and some other things. So it's really just kind of running kind of the weekly, the normal operation of the club. And that 75,000 is just kind of what is coming through, but the whole thing is not to really make money on that part of our business, of our operation.
Let's do it. Plus international.
And plus international, thank you.
And district, and Southern Rotary.
Yes.
Speaking of gaming and a third location, what does that look like? I mean, we've got one in what, Navarre? And one in Excelsior. Can we go to Hopkins, or is there a place that like a location that we need to stay within?
Larry?
Oh.
Initially, this last year, we did a search of about a 10-mile radius of
Oh.
Excelsior. And resurrected maybe 25 potential targets, all of which didn't make it. Either they didn't want gaming, or they already had it, or whatever. So right now, we're thinking about expanding that circle, if you will. And during the course of this year, we should try to figure out where our next targets could be that we could effectively make. We have two really good venues right now. And the trick to this is we don't want to just do this for the sake of doing it. We want what we have now also and just replicate it. With one general manager, we feel like we could eventually operate 4 sites with one manager. So that would be kind of the long-term vision. But for this next year, if we could just find one good, another Narrows or another Maynard's, it'd be just great. So got any ideas, send me an email. We'll flush it out and see where it goes.
I've heard a rumor, I don't know how much of a rumor it is, that Maynard's has put a condition for allowing us to sell pull tabs here as to what donees, where the money would go geographically. Is that true?
Yes. I mean, there are some guidelines. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, every sponsor at the end of the day, and we have some of the same guidelines at the Narrows. Excelsior special because the Excelsior gaming regulation requires 10% of our proceeds to actually from an Excelsior gaming location to go to Excelsior, and 50% of the proceeds to be used in the local kind of Excelsior market area, which is basically the Minnetonka School District as they define it. On top of that, they've just said, which makes sense for a location, hey, we want the money used locally. I wouldn't say, Doug, it's like a legal document deal. It's just, hey, here's our guidance. We want it used locally. Down the line, we've got a little bit of flexibility, but we want to help people that are in our area. So it matches up pretty well with what we're doing. And I don't see it really as that much of a limiting deal as with the kind of grants.
I just wanted to know for informational purposes. I think it's wonderful. Thank you.
Anything else? Well, good. Like I said, I'm gonna download this, as part of the post communication out to everyone, so would welcome any feedback or any comments on the plan. As I mentioned, this is just kind of overarching goals at this point for the year. Each of the committee heads in a couple of weeks, you'll hear a little bit more about their plans for the upcoming year and, kind of what they're looking for in terms of their committee structure and people that can get involved with that. So they'll go into a little more detail on that with that. So anyway, so that's where we are. And again, that's the story. I'm sticking with that one too at this point. And with that, we look forward to seeing all of you tonight. It's going to just be a great night, and let's make it a great concert. Thank you.
Mark, quick, before we do this, one comment about tonight, quick. I just think particularly people coming for the 7 to 9 shift, because it's gonna be packed, you wanna know this. So we doubled volunteers for a reason. We doubled
ticket sales, ID checking, and bars. So we have 2 beer trucks today. They're gonna be back to back. So if my back is to the band shell and you're looking at the beer, so we're all this way looking at the beer. There's gonna be 2 beer trucks, and on each side, there will be ticket and ID checkers. Right? So when you show up and find Maggie, who tells you where to go, you could be going to the left or to the right of the beer trailer, so that we don't have everybody packed on one side. So when you get there, it's gonna look a little different, and we thought that you might be wanting to know when you get there, what is this, like the concert for the Commons group? We've moved them somewhere else and taken over that space. Okay, so I didn't want confusion at 7 o'clock. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, hey, Mike, yeah, Rick, I have a question, and that is I know what legacy is, but what is legacy money in the Rotary? What does that mean?
Well, the legacy fund is there, we're setting aside a small percentage, 10%, in terms of off of our net proceeds off events and whatever that go into the legacy fund. The legacy fund is really there to, have a situation where we can smooth out our giving over a period of time. So right now, we're right at a high mark, but if there's a year where we have maybe a dip or whatever, that in terms of some of our commitment back into the community, we can dip into that legacy fund. So it provides a little bit of sustainability in terms of contributing. The other thing is it could be used for maybe a Hallmark type project or something, a real signature project at some point that the board and the membership we could look at down the road. So it's really just kind of setting, it's a bit of a reserve fund to kind of smooth out giving over a period of time, with it.
Thank you.
So right now, things are riding it, very nicely. As you saw in the financials, we're projecting another really good year, giving back 350,000. But we might have a year or so where, whatever, there's a little bit of dip and a way of smoothing things out.
Can I add to that a little bit?
Yeah.
I gotta back up a few years because the legacy fund enabled us to, without cash in hand, buy the tap truck or buy the trailers. And then there was this payback period, but it was the legacy committee that enabled that to happen. The use of those funds. Initially, yes, but it's on a payback program, so if we don't complete the legacy, is that correct, Karen?
Yes.
Did you all hear what Rick said? Rick,
Is the question whether that money was paid back out of the concert series?
So the legacy payback program, Kathleen, could you answer that? You're more of the.
Yeah, so-
numbers.
Yeah, so we paid for the tap truck out of the legacy fund, and then what we do is we kind of charge back ourselves to the concert as an expense, money for the tap trucks, which then goes back into the legacy. So we're just always refilling, but it was also, the pull tabs got an original loan when we had to build the booths and things like that, and then the pull tabs paid back that loan also. So yes, we just continue to refill it.
Okay. Anything else? Love it. I love this historical perspective too. Yeah.
Could you explain to us a little bit about the Paul Harris Fund? Those people that want to make periodic contributions to it, it's my understanding that you get the Paul Harris Award at $1,000.
Yes.
And you can make periodic contributions. We have a method of keeping track of what you have contributed to reach that.
I believe so, but you're getting into a detail that I don't have.
You don't need to. So yeah, so it used to be that through the treasurer, you could send a check and I would resend it to Rotary, and we don't do it that way anymore. So it's just myrotary.org. There's a donate button. You log in through your same club runner ID, and then it tracks it. It knows what club you belong to, and it automatically tracks it and sends the automatic little pin when you get your call here, so just myrotary.org, and donate.
So there's a way for us to designate the exact dollars that we want to go to.
Absolutely, and it'll do a recurring, if you want, and everything, so it's super easy.
What's the website again?
Myrotary.org.
It's the international or it's the national Rotary, but you sign on. And then I think on a monthly basis, it just becomes started.
Right. Yes.
Mark, I would express a concern, punctuality has been a virtue of this meeting, and, you are now the first president without a clock up at the wall. As the president, should make a commitment to the 8 o'clock.
Yeah. You know, Tom, we've got 5 minutes to go. Anything else? All right, well, have a great day, and I look forward to seeing all tonight at the concert.